So we'll move on to the town manager's report. I don't think we've ever done this so early in the meeting.
I do appreciate it. A prior chair would have bumped me all the way to the bottom. All right. Chief Woods has submitted a grant application to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the fiscal year 2026 Municipal Roadway Safety Grant for enhanced traffic enforcement along Middlesex Road. This, of course, is in response to feedback from your last meeting. Middlesex Road is undoubtedly the most traveled road in town and also represents the most crashes. In fact, 37% of the reportable accidents in Tyngsborough last year occurred on Middlesex Road. Last week, School Resource Officer Chris Gustafson hosted Operation Copsicle at Tyngsborough Elementary School. This is an annual program that the Tyngsborough Police Department hosts that brings together future middle school students for ice cream handed out by members of the Tyngsborough Police Department. It is always a great event and very well received. It's just another fantastic example of the work that our robust SRO program here in Tyngsborough does. A big thank you to the Tyngsborough Recreation Department, the Board of Health, the Health Department, Department of Public Works, Police and Fire, and all of our staff that helped plan and execute a fantastic grand opening and health fair at Ironwood Park last week. The weather held out just long enough, the courts were packed, and it was truly a fantastic event. Ironwood is open for business. I drove by yesterday at like 3 in the afternoon, and all of the amenities were absolutely packed. So it's certainly getting its use, which is fantastic. I've done this with the board, but I just wanted to publicly take a moment to acknowledge our first responders, our 911 communication specialists, firefighters, and police officers who handled a very complex and difficult scene a couple weeks ago on Route 3. The accident involved several vehicles, a fatality, and multiple ambulance transports. Despite the very difficult scene, our first responders carried themselves with tremendous professionalism, delivering the highest level of service that you'd expect. I extend my deepest appreciation and admiration to all of them, and of course my condolences to the individual who lost their life, and wish for a speedy recovery for the victims. On a staffing front, we're looking for a part-time cemetery coordinator within the Department of Public Works to help manage the sale of burial plots and coordinate internments. This work was previously handled by the former Cemetery Commission. That was an elected body that was disbanded with the passage of the DPW Act. Former Cemetery Commissioner Doug LaTulip has kindly continued to manage that process during the transition, but has decided to step away from that role. The position is per diem with up to 19 hours weekly at $20 per hour. The job posting is live currently on tyngsboroughma.gov for those that are interested. And due to the pressing need for this position, we'll be reviewing applications on a rolling basis. So if you know somebody that might be interested, certainly have them reach out. On the project front, the Bicentennial Field Irrigation Project is now in the punch list phase. The system was initiated a few weeks ago, and our project designer has identified a few minor things that need to be ironed out before we close out the project. I expect that we'll be able to close the project out in the next few weeks. They were on site today addressing all but one very minor of the punch list items. And so at some point early next week, we'll coordinate a kickoff meeting with all the staff that will have a hand in managing that project so that they know how to maintain the system. The town convened a scoping meeting last week with S&R Corporation and our project designer at Peer Consulting to review the scope of work for the abatement and demolition of the former COA building at 180 Lakeview Ave. Later this evening, the board will be asked to transfer some money to match the contract value, and assuming a positive vote, we'll be getting work on this project started in the next few weeks. On the procurement front, we're currently seeking sealed bids for the Norris Road Sidewalk project. This project was funded in last year's capital plan and will see the installation of sidewalks from Frost Road to the school campus on Norris Road. We held off doing the construction a year so that the completion of this work will align with the opening of the new middle school instead of trying to do the work while they're still taking heavy equipment in and out of the site. The contract that we have out to bid calls for the work to be completed before school starts on August 26th. Following the approval of this board 2 weeks ago, we're releasing a request for proposals on Wednesday, June 18th for the lease of 120 Westford Road, which is the former recreation building. Proposals will be due by July 16th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Interested parties can obtain the formal RFP documents by visiting the town's website and the bids page. That's tyngsboroughma.gov/bids. Once we receive the proposals, we'll conduct an evaluation of them and share the responses with the board for their review. As a reminder, this is simply an exploration. The town is not committed to following through and issuing a lease. So if we don't get any that are interesting to the town, or if we feel like we have more work to do, we can just reject all the bids. But at least the board will have an idea of what potential interest exists on the site. And then just a few reminders about upcoming events. Join us on Wednesday, June 18th for Bingo Night at the Center for Active Living. Doors open at 5:30 and the game starts promptly at 6:30. On Friday, June 20th, that's this week, we'll host a 10-year anniversary gathering at the Center for Active Living to celebrate 10 years of the Council on Aging operating out of 169 Westford Road. We'll also do a formal naming ceremony to commemorate the name change to the Center for Active Living. That program kicks off promptly at 11. The Tyngsborough Public Library will host a kickoff party for their 2025 summer reading program this Saturday, June 21st, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the library. You can learn more about the event and their summer reading program by visiting www.tinglib.org.
And then just one update on my end. I'm excited to report that following the meeting last Wednesday of the Commission on Disability, on behalf of the Commission, I submitted to the Massachusetts Office on Disability an application for an ADA improvement grant to update the town's transition plan, which was approved by this board in 2021. If administered, that grant would allow for $17,500 in funding to map all sidewalks and curb ramps throughout the town, incorporate that map into our StreetLogix platform, and provide key data for the town to prioritize any necessary repairs or improvements for our right-of-way infrastructure. We last received this grant from the MOD in 2020 to fund the self-evaluation and transition plan. We expect to hear from them either way this fall. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions for either the town manager or assistant town manager? Select person Colin, I'll start with you.
None at this time, thank you.
I'd just like to say, the Ironwood Park was kickoff was a great event. Since that time, I've been, I go by there quite a bit, and I stop in to see people. I played pickleball, and yesterday I actually played basketball for the first time in a couple of years. I took a couple people on a game of one-on-one. So that was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to playing every amenity that's there. And as Colin said, I've seen people playing so many of those games over there. Every single one, I think I've seen somebody out there. And I've seen a lot of families go there for, just to hang out, spend some time there. The kids, although, a lot of people wanted a playground, the kids seem to be playing a lot of the amenities that are there, and they're pretty young, and they're having a blast. So it's great to see that. One of the things when I moved here, I realized there was never a park, a big park, and I never could figure out exactly how we were going to make it happen, and it's just exciting to see this finally happen. So, please, if you haven't seen the park, please stop in and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Select person Eldridge.
Thank you, Chairperson. A couple questions relative to the bicentennial field irrigation. Do we have a smart controller on that one? I meant to ask all
Yes.
this stuff.
Those fields have always had a smart controller. They were broken and never repaired 2 summers ago. My understanding from the school department is that they were repaired last summer.
Okay. And then the other question is, are we at the point with the small number of issues, are we using the new irrigation system today and no longer tapping into potable water for that right now?
I do not believe that we've had to use municipal water. I think a combination of the testing phase where those were on and all the rain that we've received has helped.
Yeah.
But certainly, once the system is fully, none of the issues related to actual operation. They were minor things like placement of certain conduits, so they were out of the way. So I have no reason to believe that we weren't.
Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for the update. It's been a long road for that one, and I think it's important for people to understand that not only is it going in, but it's responsible use, and that we're trying to not only not use potable water, drinking water really isn't good for the soil anyway, but we're also, I would hear from people saying, why are the sprinklers on when in the middle of a rainstorm? And now we're, conserving and doing things the right way. So fantastic that we're at that point. So thank you for the update.
Thank you. I'm curious about the StreetLogix platform. Do you mind just talking a little bit about that and about how we use it?
Sure.
Or hand it to Colin?
Yeah, I Colin's probably the better,
Just fake
better
it, what you
resource
know.
there.
StreetLogix is a software that our DPW started using probably 3 years ago now. And what it does is it's an online platform that allows us in real time to see our overall roadway conditions, the network. Once a year, the consultant goes, in fact, actually today I was with our DPW superintendent reviewing this year's report. Based on the projects that we did the year before and a new assessment of all the roads, they update the condition of the road. That's the same software that we use to plan future road projects. And so that's, our superintendent has come in and talked about how it's a combination of where we can get the most money, mixing in roads that are failed while also trying to maintain them. So adding these curb ramps into that will help us incorporate any accessibility work that needs to be done on existing sidewalks while we're planning future years. There is a link on the website to the Street Logics. I don't know that it's been updated based on the data that we just got today, but it's basically just a map of the town that color codes roads based on their existing condition, and you can drill down to see if that condition has improved. Alternatively, you could drill down and see if the condition has deteriorated.
Why
but
would you?
It's part of our overall pavement management plan.
Great. And it shows where current sidewalks exist and
It
where
doesn't
they.
yet, but it will.
It will as part
Beautiful.
of it. Hopefully, hopefully
Great.
we get the funding from MOD.
Great. Thank you so much.